Shana Tova, and welcome to Bet David here in Santon. On behalf of Bet David Santon, Bet Menorah in Pretoria, and Bet David in Durban, we welcome you to our High Holy Day services this evening. We hope you enjoy these services and that you attend all the services with us. Please feel free to share the link with your friends and family. Please letting them know, of course, that any donation to Bet David will be most welcome. The Yom Tov candles tonight will be lit by Linda Mann, and we proceed with that now. Thank you, Linda.
In these very difficult times that we live in, we must all remember to have trust in ourselves, but more specifically, trust in God. Very soon we should all hope and pray that all things return to normal and that life can continue as it was in the past. As president of Bet Menorah in Pretoria, on behalf of my council, we'd like to wish everybody a wonderful Rosh Hashanah and a Yom Kippur, wish them well over the fast, and wish you all health and happiness in the coming year.
Shana Tova, and welcome to our combined services. It has indeed been a year of challenge, and yet it has also been a year of learning, a year of opportunity to get to know those who we live with in a new and deeper way. A year of thinking carefully about how we do things, and that is always a benefit. A year where we have discovered the beauties in our immediate surroundings. Yes, let us pray together that this coming year will bring more safety, more security, a greater opportunity for health and well-being through vaccination, through cures, and let us bless all of the amazing workers who have helped those with COVID over this past year. And let us move into this new year with our learnings from the last year so that we can take the bounty and the beauty of what the divine gives us and create something very special for ourselves, our families, and our communities. It is my great honor to welcome Linda Mann, who will be bringing us a reading and then the light to begin our new year. Linda.
The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded in everything you do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May our ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flames we kindle, always stretching upward, striving for the good, reaching for you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר קידשנו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
And with that light and that blessing for goodness, we remind ourselves of the beauty of creation that started with a small gathering of light in the midst of the darkness, illuminating the world so that all should be created in the most special way. We have a wonderful reading by Beatrice Lewis on page 12.
To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven. This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return, a time to gather round the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life and the spirit of our community. This is the season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, and a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality. This is the season of hope, like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn. Our hopes beautify and nourish everything that we touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice. This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn to each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage, and may we find love.
תיקו בחודש שופר בקסם ליום חגנו כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהים יעקב.
הנני ממעש נרעשת ונפחדת מפחד יושב תהילות ישראל באתי לעמוד לחנן לפניך על עמך ישראל אשר שלחוני אף על פי שניקית יד והגונה לך. Therefore, as I come to pray on behalf of this community, God of Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, I pray for success on my path. Let love be our banner, let it banish our wrongs. May Israel's strife and misfortune be turned to joy, renewed life and peace, love, peace, and truth. May they prevail among us and among all peoples throughout the earth. Let there be no impediment to our prayer. Blessed are you, O God, who hears our prayer. May the words of our hearts be acceptable to you in this new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Please rise as you are comfortable doing as we turn to the Baruch on page 20. Please be seated as we turn to the next page. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro mariv harabim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, ובתבונה משנה עיתים ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים בממשלותיהם כרקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים.
אהבת עולם, אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת.
על כן אדוני אלוהינו
בשוכבנו
ובקומנו
נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו, אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, לעולמים, לעולמים.
Baruch atah Adonai, lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Ohev Amo Yisrael. We are blessed to have a drash from our wonderful member, Fiona Capstick.
The setting sun heralds Rosh Hashanah 5782, as Jewish communities around the world, in all their vibrant diversity, gather together to celebrate a new year and to prepare for the days of awe, the Yamim Noraim, culminating in Yom Kippur. Ladies and gentlemen, we are leaving behind us a traumatic year, one that has witnessed hurricanes, firestorms, earthquakes, floods, unbridled vandalism, armed conflict, and 11 days of torment for the state of Israel as unguided rockets and mortars rained down on the country. And then the deeply, deeply distressing events in Afghanistan that have shaken the world. As we spend time in reflection and prayer to try to make amends and dry clean our lives, we ask ourselves, what can we do to lessen this despair and misery that's engulfing huge swathes of humanity? And here we recall the words of one of the most erudite, courageous voices in world Jewry, the late Chief Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of Great Britain of blessed memory. Rabbi Sacks advised that these days of awe afford us the chance of refusing to be defined by circumstances. We have the ability to change course, to reframe the narrative of the past, and to create an unexpected set of possibilities for the future. By trying to live with greater mindfulness, by becoming more sensitive to the needs of less fortunate people in our immediate surroundings, and by contributing to efforts, however modest, to bring assistance and comfort, we are lighting a candle of hope in the face of chronic loneliness and despair, a candle of peace in the presence of strife, and a candle of relief in the aftermath of fear. As the shofar resonates around the Jewish world, let it be a fresh call to all of us to strive for the good, to become better people, and to help build a more peaceful world. The round challah with its sweet raisins reminds us of the eternal circle of life. As we dip apples in honey, we feel the powerful symbolism of our yearning for a sweet new year. And we know we are not alone. We have one another. Shana Tova Umetuka.
Thank you so much, Fiona. We all need words of inspiration in the face of what can sometimes be an overwhelming amount of difficulty in the world. And you know, even today, when we're celebrating creation, we remember those words that our ancestors spoke at the sea when they realized that there was a way out, that they could move forward through the miraculous and discover themselves free at last. So Mi Chamocha on page 34. Whoops.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
V'hafta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol nafshecha v'chol moedecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher onechi matzavacha yom al levavecha, v'shinam tam levanecha b'dibarta bam, v'shiftecha v'beitecha, u'v'lechtecha b'aderech, u'v'shoppecha u'kakumecha, u'v'shavtam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotofot be'einecha, u'v'tavtam al muzot beitecha, u'visharecha. You shall love eternal your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words which I command you this day upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Lema'an tiskaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kiddushim Elohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeret et chai me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them, thus you shall become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. Adonai, your God, is true.
To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart, to break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect, to break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy, to break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's gifts, to break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength, to untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being, to break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope, to break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help. Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea, and we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
We now utter those same words that were uttered when Moses and Miriam led the people across into freedom. Page 34. Mi chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'gam ha'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh.
Malchutcha ra'ov anecha, bokei hayam, lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zeri'anu ve'amru.
Adonai Yimro le'olam va'ed.
V'ne'emar, ki fad Adonai et Yaakov, u'galo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, God Yisrael. Hashkiveinu, Adonai Eloheinu le'shalom, v'amideinu, Malkeinu l'chayim tovim, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו, והסר מעלינו, may you take from us all illness and war, enemies, famine, and sorrow, and stronger than the enemies in our hearts, the enemies of wickedness and sin. Carry us safely as on wings of eagles. Ki el melech hanun v'rachum ata, u'shmo tzeteinu, uvo'enu l'chaim u'l'shalom ve'ata ve'ad olam, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch ata Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And with that blessing of hope and the canopy of peace spread over us, I invite us all to open our hearts, to rise as we are able, to make a place in our prayers, to join together and welcome the holiness of this day, of this community, and of this moment.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Agitei Latecha. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftachu fi Agitei Latecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, ve'Elohei Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah.
האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וחוטפינו בספר החיים. למענך, למענך, אלוהים חיים. זוכרנו לחיים, לחפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
מלך
Hoseh u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah.
We come to the center of our prayer, of this place where we recognize the holiness. And I'm going to invite you as we do this to think, to hold for yourself a moment that you have experienced that has been truly holy. The birth of a child, the passing of a parent, the glory of standing on the top of a mountain, the finding of a new friend, the tasting of something that is so beautifully presented that you can't help but say, oh, it is so sweet to be alive. Ata kadosh shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. And so in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear into reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name.
And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection.
We are now at the bottom of our holiness prayer, page 52. V'timloch ata Adonai, levadecha kol ma'asecha, b'har Tzion, Mishkan kvodecha, u'v'Yerushalayim, ir kodshecha, kakatuv b'divrei kodshecha. Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Tzion, ledor vador, hallelujah. Kadosh atah, v'norah shmecha, ve'ein Eloha mivaladecha, kakatuv. Vayikber Adonai tzvaot b'mishpat, Va'el HaKadosh nikadesh b'tzedakah. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh.
Ve'amantano mikol haleshonot, ve'kidashtano b'mitzvotecha, ve'keratano malekenu lavodatecha, lavodatecha. V'shimcha hagadol ve'hakadosh, Alleluia.
Vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava et Yom HaZikaron hazeh Yom Zikaron Truah Mikra Kodesh Zecher L'Tziat Mitzrayim. Again, this notion that even at this moment of the amazingness of creation, we still remember that there is always a possibility of overcoming the difficulties of the world. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Yahalehe v'yavo v'yagia v'yara'eh v'yiratzeh v'yishama v'yikvaker v'yizacher zichronenu v'yikonenu v'zichron avotenu v'imotenu. Remember our ancestors. V'zichron Yerushalayim ir kodshecha. Remember the holy streets of Jerusalem. V'zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha lefleta letova. And remember all of your holy people standing in front of you today in hope for goodness. Lechen u'lechesed u'rachamim l'chaim u'l'shalom b'yom hazikaron hazeh. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova.
Amen.
Ufokteinu bo livracha.
Amen.
Voshienu bo lechaim tovim.
V'taher libenu, v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu li'avtecha be'emet. V'taher libenu, v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu li'avtecha be'emet. Da 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 da, hoi! Da 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 da, da 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 da. V'taher libenu, v'taher libenu. v'taher libenu li'avtecha be'emet. v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu, v'taher libenu li'avtecha be'emet.
Help me to serve you truly, with purity of heart. When I hear hateful or degrading speech, let me focus on good words and worthy thoughts. When my worst instincts cause me torment, teach me to care for myself and for others. In rough waters and misfortune, let me harbor patience and strength. Make my soul a sanctuary, that your light may dwell within me. Align all my acts in pursuit of goodness, so I may be a vessel of holiness, serving you with purity and truth.
For our silent meditation, we ask God's favor upon us, that we be received, that our prayers, that our love be received in the spirit that it is given both to the divine and to the denizens of the world. That at every moment, the worship with the hands, the worship with the mouth, the worship with the heart be acceptable to the divine, so that our spirits may be renewed and refreshed. As we say, may we see your return to Zion. Take a moment in silent meditation. Baruch atah Adonai hamachazir shechinato, hamachazir shechinato, Letzion, Letzion. And may we be blessed by your presence. We turn now to Avinu Malkeinu, the opportunity to break open the little egg of our heart, the one that has been holding all the things we know we haven't done as perfectly as we wished, all those times we've missed the mark. And yes, on Slichot, we had the opportunity to say our penitential prayers for the first time, but here we are in the creation, in this grand moment of the world swirling out of the divine imagination. And we have all left our traces of goodness and traces of things that we are not as proud of. So we turn our hearts to the one who accepts our prayer, who welcomes us back in truth. George, would you please give us a meditation before Avinu Malkeinu?
Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful. Strong was the faith of generations before us. In exile, they proclaimed their enduring hope. In the shadow of persecution, they affirmed a transcendent love and compassion. Ours is a different age, less confident and certain, more tentative in its trust. There are many who say to the works of their hands, "You are our gods." But when our worship centers on our own creations, we feel less gratitude, more doubt, and despair. This is the paradox of our spiritual lives. We grow smaller in self-exaltation, nobler when we reach for you. On this night of return, let us find the humility to come close to you and open ourselves to your presence. For you are absent only when we fail to make room for you in our hearts, distant only when we turn away from you. Now, as others have done before us, let us overcome doubt and speak these words of affirmation. We call you Avinu, as loving parent, Forgive our wrongs and failings. Accept us in our human frailty. We call you Malkeinu. As sovereign of our souls, help us rise from our brokenness to build a world of shalom. To this vision, we offer ourselves anew.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu lefanecha, Avinu Malkeinu.
So beautiful. Thank you so much to the choir. But I know they've been working extra hard to bring us these beautiful melodies. Sitting in front of me is my Rosh Hashanah Seder plate. I'll see if I can show it to you without dropping anything. I come from partly a Sephardic background, and it is our tradition to eat special foods on Rosh Hashanah, as we also do on Pesach. And some of these are traditional and some of them are from our family, and somebody made a funny suggestion I'll tell you at the end. You know, this is the day that the world was finished. This is the birthday of the inception of humankind. And we, unlike all the other creations which were spoken into being, we were formed, and then we were illuminated with God's breath. And so there is a way in which this care for our body becomes something that acts as a liaison between ourselves and this beginning of creation, between ourselves and our Creator. And so when we eat, it is not just that we are eating because we are hungry. We have been genetically programmed to be hungry, so we eat. But we don't just eat the first thing that is in front of us. We eat things in special ways. We set them on our tables in beauty. We put lovely plates out. We stop and we consider each thing that we eat with a blessing. I know many of you will be blessing your beautiful round crown challahs later on this evening. And so I want to take you through some of the blessings that we say in my house. This tradition, by the way, comes from a little bit later in our literature, from about the year 1000. And there was a tradition that when Chai Gaon, who was a great scholar, whose learning influenced Jews for this huge swath of Jewish life, all the way up into Europe and down into Africa, not as far as South Africa, alas. I don't think there were many Jews there at the time, but certainly to Ethiopia. And when he came out of the synagogue, his students would come and would bring him baskets of fruit as an offering for the beauty that he brought to them in helping them to understand the words of Torah. And so here are some of the fruits that he would have eaten. Oops, I'm having trouble. Or for some of the foods that he would have eaten. We have here dates. These are beautiful dates. We had a tree, actually, that made this particular kind of dates. And the date in Hebrew is a tamar. And the word tamar stands for the word yitamu. It sounds like it. It means let's end this year in a holy way, in a sweet way. And let us also end all oppression. And so we eat our dates, which also our Muslim brothers and sisters eat at auspicious times. And then, of course, I think many of you know the pomegranate. The theory is that the pomegranate has 613 seeds, which it does not. I can attest to that. We've counted a number of pomegranates. They have a variable number of seeds, but we can say there are many. And so while it is not an exact overlay on the number of commandments in the Torah, it does remind us that there are so many possibilities, and that when you put them all together, they create a sweetness and a sharpness that you enjoy on your tongue. So we say, may we have our year be as full of mitzvot as the pomegranates. We have rubia, which gets translated in different ways. I think it's also considered a green. These are a particularly lovely bean. You can see they're purple, or maybe you can see that they're black. They are, in fact, very dark purple. And the rubia sounds like the word yirbu, meaning to increase. So the idea is, may our blessings only increase when we eat our beans. Then we also have our gourd. Here's a particularly fun long gourd. And the gourd is kra, and it reminds us of the word to tear. May all of the decrees against us be torn away. May we be allowed to stand in pureness in front of you on this year. We also eat, for a similar kind of idea, the beet, which is a selek, and it resembles the word yistalku, to retreat. May all of the things that we've done over the year and all of our enemies retreat, go back into wherever they're coming to, so that we can come forward. We also have the karti, the leek, It's not the nicest specimen, I'm afraid, but it was one of the smaller ones to fit on my plate for you. And the karti is a way of reminding ourselves that we wish that the things that we've done, it means to karet, again, to cut off the acts in the past. There are actually, my grandmother had a friend who would throw leeks over her shoulders on Rosh Hashanah to get rid of the things that she did not wish to have be part of her world. I did not bring you, by the way, a fish head. It's traditional also to eat fish heads, so we should be at the head of the ear and not the tail. Also, the eyes, as we will do on Tashlich later, are always open. They see everything. So when we eat the eyes, we also can see ourselves fully, and that enables us to create a new year with a better pattern of intentions. I also want to show you the golden berry. This is a Salamo family tradition. It reminds us of light, but it also, while being sweet, it's also just a little bitter. And it comes, these ones came in the market, they were open, but it comes in a husk. The idea that God's light is hidden, but when you search for it, you will always be able to find it. And then I know, I'm going to put this to the side so I do not knock them over again, that everybody is familiar with the apple that's dipped in honey to remind us of a sweet year. Obviously, the honey is for sweetness, but the apple itself goes back to Passover, to our salvation. And we are taught that the apple trees, when the people were in Egypt, would allow the families to gather underneath them, even though they were supposed to be working. And the apple trees would bow down their branches so that there were little tents created, and the Jews could sit and rest and drink and converse. And so the apple is present for us at Passover and also at Rosh Hashanah to remind us that nature protects us, and that even in the hardest times, we can turn to trees of beauty and enjoy their fruit, which brings us back again to the Garden of Eden. And this holiday is really about knowing that that garden exists just below the surface of our consciousness, that we have access to the fruits of knowledge, and we have access to the tree of life, that we can act this year as we wish to be. We can change ourselves, we can change our relationships, and we can change the world. As Fiona said, there's so much in need of change. And yet, we are only us. But we are taught, Lo alecha hamalacha ligmor. It's not for you to complete the task, but you can't stop trying. And so these fruits and these vegetables that help us to remember the intention behind starting again are here to nourish our bodies, but also to nourish our souls as we move forward into this beautiful and wonder-filled new year. I invite you to find the fruits that are meaningful to you and to choose to eat them with intent. I'll share with you the funny thing, which is that somebody suggested we take a dried grape, I don't have them, and a piece of celery, so that we have a raisin in our celery, as in a raise in our salary. So you may also enjoy spending your time creating fruit and vegetable puns for this year. When you stop and you eat intentionally, you make a blessing before you bite into your apple. You think, wow, this is a fruit that could become a tree, and it is also going to nourish me. My soul is important enough to warrant this beautiful creation. we all stand together. So important, so essential to the well-being of the world, that we all merit the taste of sweetness on our tongues this year. Shana Tova Umetuka. Reb David, would you give us a word of blessing over the wine?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachbanu mikol העם, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו, באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה, יום מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. הבנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, ולברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. ביום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. לחיים.
We stand once again for the Aleinu on page 82.
Aleinu leshabeach Ladon hakol latet gedula leotzer bereshit shelo asanu כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה. שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם.
Oh ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד,
ונאמר, וידן אל המלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad. And so we say, the time may be distant and the outcome uncertain, for how could suffering endemic to the human condition ever come to an end? Cessation of desire, relinquishing attachment, diminished expectations, all these might ease the pain of being alive. Or decide instead that you'll continue to dream, hope, remain fiercely attached to bringing a better day, even if the outcome's uncertain and the time is very distant. So in the nexus of our dedication to changing the world, we call upon those who have come before us and who have given us their teachings, their love, and their hopes, that we may carry them forward. And we pause at this holy moment in our holy service to remember those who gave us life, who gave us love, who brought us joy. We remember Zena Strauss, the grandmother of Catherine and Robert Wolk, Mark Bernstein, the father of Val Sinclair, Len Miller, the husband of Tina Miller, and from Beit David in Durban, remember Avis Rebek, mother of Barry Rebek, and Rhoda Abrahams, mother of Stephen Abrahams. And we are still in mourning for Angie Kuttner, cousin of Angela Frankel, and Rabbi Richard Hurst, one of the great leaders of world progressive Judaism, who left us just recently. The Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 90. If you feel moved to recite the Kaddish for someone whose name we have not mentioned, this is just recent names, please feel free to do so. It's traditional to say it while standing, so I'm going to stand up with you. Page 90. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yurteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam ule'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal, shmei dekudsha brichu, le'ela ule'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata, tush v'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen. We have some announcements.
Thank you to Doron Kanar for so ably facilitating the streaming of services and putting together all the videos that have made this service so special. Thank you also to congregants who contributed these videos. Thank you to our wonderful choir for spiritually uplifting our services. Thank you also to Rabbi Elisheva for leading the services, especially challenging given the time difference between South Africa and San Francisco. Please join us again tomorrow morning for the service which begins at 9:30 a.m. Please refer to the schedule sent out via email and WhatsApp for all service times. This past 18 months has been a horrid time for most of us. In the midst of restrictions on physical interaction, economic hardships, and political unrest, many have been ill, and whilst thankfully some have recovered, many have passed away, and we have lost loved ones and friends. Over the last year, Bet David has been able to retain all staff, maintain the campus, and stream services through our online broadcasting system. This system, set up for the previous High Holy Days, allows us to connect to congregants through our website, through YouTube, and Zoom. Our average monthly views remain high, with people from all over the world joining our services, and an average of 1,200 views per month. Nonetheless, this does not replace being able to pray together in our synagogue. Financially, this has been a particularly difficult year for Bet David. A result of COVID pandemic, our income from leases, the major source of revenue, has reduced dramatically to a small fraction of what it was. Membership subscriptions are diminished too. Of particular concern right now is that High Holy Day donations on which Bet David is reliant to provide ongoing services are less than 1/5 of what they have been in the past at this time on Erev Rosh Hashanah. More so than ever before, Bet David needs your financial support, and we urge you to assist by making a donation. Please, no matter how small. Shana Tova Umetuka to everyone.
When we come to Yom Kippur together, we will be talking about the Avodah service, the time where the ritual cleansing of the community took place. And there is this moment where the priest would come out and stand in front of all of the people and raise his hands in blessing and speak the divine name. Now, I don't know how the divine name is pronounced, and if I did pronounce it, if I did know, I would much rather do it with you than in this Zoomy, YouTubey way. And so I will give you the essence of what that name means to me. May the glory of the possibility of creation be a part of your world. May you resonate fully with the divine face. May the glory of God and the glory of humanity and the glory of the world join together in this new year so that we can live a new life, a new day, a new era, to make all on earth aware of the beauty and the glory, and all on earth join together in song and in praise. Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmerechem. May God bless you, all of you, and keep you safe. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem v'chunechem. May God look upon every one of us with the greatest of favor. Yisa Adonai panav elechem yasem lachem shalom. May God's grace extend to the whole world, and may we soon, through that beauty and through that glory and through the judgment, find our way towards creating peace. Shana Tova.
Adon Olam Hashem Alai וחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה. אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יצא נברא לעת, עשה בחפצו כל עשה מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה.
והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא והמזרח.
והוא אלי וחי גואלי וצור חבלי בצרה. והוא ניסי ומנוסי
בטרם כה יצא נברא לעין נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה.
אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כה יצא נברא לעין נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא,
והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, בתפארה.
בידו תברוכי,
בית אישה,
שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה. הוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה, והוא היה והוא הווה בתפארה.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much to the choir for your beautiful voices and your beautiful spirit. Thank you to Mann and to all who keep our synagogue alive and moving physically. And thank you to Diane and Glynis and Di who keep it going spiritually too. And I think a huge and extreme thanks to Doron, who has been collecting videos, who has made everything so smooth, for whom nothing is a problem. And so next time you see him, God willing, it will be soon, and we will be all vaccinated and safe. Please give him your thanks, because without him, we would not be where we are, and where we are is beautiful and extraordinary. So we go into this good, sweet night with the blessing of song and the blessing of love and the blessing of joy. May you find pleasure in the company that you are keeping. May your rest be sweet and beautiful. If you want to join me early in the morning with your small children, or even without small children, you're very welcome. And some of my denizens will be showing up on the screen to share the new year with you. And we will continue to celebrate creation together throughout the next 2 days. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.